Hello, everybody. It is Renee, and I am out here in California, and I am going to be talking to the first dieter and coach and clinic in the United States, Lisa Shaker-Knopp. She's from Shake It Off in Tampa, Florida. And she is an expert coach, and certainly I've learned a lot from Lisa over my time of getting to enjoy talking with her and sharing coaching tips. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Doing fabulous. How are you?
I'm awesome. So
Good.
Lisa actually has a crowd today that's going to be listening on her end along with her coaches. And then if you are in the Florida area and you need a great coach, check out Shake It Off Weight Loss Centers because Lisa has a great team. Today they're going to be doing a lunch and learn, which is where you can go in and try different foods and check out the Ideal Protein Program. So, all right. So today, if you would like some of the tips for summer success, all you have to do is type in the word summer, and we will automatically send that to your messenger box on Facebook. Okay, so Lisa, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and get started here.
Okay, well, welcome everybody that's listening today. So my name is Lisa, as you heard, and I started the very first Ideal Protein Clinic in the United States back in 2006 before Ideal Protein became a U.S. company in 2008. So I've been working with Olivier and Dr. Tran for many years now, 12 years, and I have my own success story about my own weight battles since I was a young lady. And I had tried many, many diets in the past. Jenny Craig, Nutrisystem, Weight Watchers, cabbage soup diet, hypnotherapy diet, bodybuilder diet. I had my hair tested, my saliva analyzed, and the mercury taken out of my mouth once a week for 4 weeks to get all the junk out of my body. And I would lose weight, but then I would always gain it back, and then I would be fatter than I was the time before. And this would continue on for most of my 30s and into my 40s. And then there's always an impetus for you when your back gets up against the wall and you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so that impetus for me was my dad's unexpected passing on the golf course. He was 71 years young. He looked like the picture of health on the outside, but he was a walking time bomb on the inside. And I realized pretty quickly that the apple doesn't fall far from the genetic tree and that I better get my stuff together. So I was about 41. I was 41 when he died. And I tried at that point after he passed. I gained a lot of weight again from being sad and crying. And, I am a massage therapist. I've been a licensed massage therapist for 22 years. I don't practice massage currently, but I keep my license. And so I said, okay, you got to get fit. You got to get better. You got to eat less. You got to exercise more. And I did everything I thought I was supposed to do and all the myths that I had been taught. And I did them. And 10 months later of working out like a fiend and eating very, very, good protein, low carbs, everything you're taught to do, I actually had gained 2 pounds. And then I didn't lose very much body fat either. And so I was very frustrated. And about that time, I heard about this protein in a package. And I'm like, what about a protein in a package? I don't eat packaged food. I eat whole food, real food, fresh food. I don't eat fried food. I just want to eat whole food and have my body work right. And so I was told, no, you got to go listen. And I heard about the Ideal Protein Protocol, about the pancreas and how it works and how foods can affect the pancreas. And so my lovely breakfast I was eating every morning, my, steel cut oats with my organic blueberries and my organic nuts, which was basically a carb, fat breakfast with very, very little protein, was actually preventing my body, not necessarily making me fatter, but preventing my body from losing the fat I already had. So when I was explained about this protocol, I thought, okay, if this does to my thighs what this lady says it's going to do, I'm going to be a walking billboard because nothing touches these Armenian thighs. They're very big. And so I did. I went on protocol. I focused on it. I did what they told me to do. And oh, by the way, I started on December the 1st of 2005. So, people think I was crazy, but I thought if I lose any weight in the month of December, I'm going to be better off. So I started. And in 10 weeks, I went from a size 16 stretch jean. You all know about stretch jeans. I went from a size 16 stretch jean to a size 8 straight and tailor pant. I had lost 5.5 inches off my thighs, my belly, and my butt, which was unheard of. I felt like $1 million, had great energy. And at the time I was doing massage traveling. I traveled to people's homes and offices. And so my bad habit was that I would wake up in the morning, I wouldn't have any breakfast, I would work all day, I would come home, I would eat 1 or 2 meals. They were healthy, but I would just stay fat that way. And so one of the things I had to learn how to do is stay on protocol and figure out how to do that on the road. And so I got a lot of great tips and tricks that I learned from my own self. And my goal was every day, how can I stay on protocol? Not something faces me and then, oh, but I have to, but I can't, but this is all they have, but all these buts, right? I'm like, no, there was no buts in my brain. I'm like, I've got to get this weight off and I've got to prevent diabetes because this is what my family history is. And so I found ways, crazy ways. I would stop at 7-Eleven and pick up 2 hard-boiled eggs and a pickle. I would stop at this place down here called Sweet Tomatoes and go through the little buffet line and get just lettuce and cut vegetables. And I brought my own dressing with me in the car. I would go to, we have a grocery store here in the Florida area called Publix. It's in some other areas, but and I would go to the deli and I would have them slice me some, really good, no MSG, really, some protein. And I would go to the vegetable thing and I would get some celery that was already in water. And I would sit in my car and I'd, eat some celery and lettuce and, some protein. And you know what? It just worked. And so I did that. And in 6 months, I went from, a size 16 to a size 6. I've been able to stay between a size 6 and an 8. I'm 55 now, so, menopause has kicked in full board. So it's a little bit harder for me now. But I've learned that through Ideal Protein that I can, get my weight off. I got my weight off, and that I've been able to actually keep it off for the last 12 years within, 10 to 12 pounds. And so that's the tool that what Ideal Protein has given me is it kind of took that noose off my neck that I've had on since I was 15 years old. About gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, and not learning about how my body worked and my food triggers and exactly what that looks like. And so that's what Ideal has done for me is it has taught me about my body and about food and about how our bodies are affected by food from an insulin point of view. So that's my story.
I love your story because it's a story that resonates with pretty much everybody. I also have my own story and very similar, Lisa. I'm 56, so we're close in age, and it does get a little bit harder, but it doesn't mean you can't do it and you need to give up. It just means that you need to search for more ways to balance your body, your hormones, and your thyroid, and search out the things that are keeping you, are causing a little bit of gain here and there and challenging us as we try to maintain our weight. I'm actually in the process, just went this morning and tested my cortisol and my thyroid and, all of my blood sugar and all of that so that I can see, what's going on. And I do that about once or twice a year, just depending on how I'm feeling.
That's right.
So, those are all natural things that we can do for ourselves. So let's talk about summer. And it was interesting this morning. I put out a little note on some of the groups that we belong to. And I said, what's your biggest challenge for summer? And some of the things that came up were beer, going to festivals, alcohol. So alcohol seems to be a big one. And going on vacation, feeling like you can't stay on protocol when you're on vacation. So, Lisa, let's talk a little bit about those challenges.
Well, so I heard this funny comment on the radio. I was listening to a talk show host and they were talking about, actually it was a financial talk show host. And I was listening and this person said, and this cracked me up yesterday. He said, your why has to be bigger than your butt. And I laughed because they were talking about butt, like B-U-T. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, but your butt, B-U-T-T, right? But your why has to be bigger than your butt. Well, but it's somebody's birthday. Well, but it's Father's Day. Well, but it's my vacation. Well, but it's, it's my sister's, uncle's, nephew's, cousin's birthday. We have all kinds of excuses about the but, right? But if your why is big enough, none of that matters. I just went last weekend for Father's Day weekend to there's a Marriott in Orlando, and we went for Father's Day weekend, and the guys were going to play golf, and it was my daughter and her kids and another couple, and it was us, and and I thought, okay, so I'm trying to eat real clean, and I'm trying to stay on protocol right now before my vacation in July, so I can trim up a little bit before I'm in a bathing suit for 10 days. And so I thought, okay, so I have these friends, and they love to drink wine, and they like to party, and they like to eat, and it's all good. But I'm like, okay, no, I'm gonna do my thing. So I brought my Yeti, and I packed it with all my stuff, and I, to the hotel. I brought dressing. I made little dressing packets because I knew that was going to happen. I brought the branched chain amino acid protein, or not protein, but the branched chain amino acid that's fruit punch flavored, because I figured, well, if I put that in a Yeti or something, it's nice and refreshing by the pool, and it will, it might look like a Tito's and something, but it's just going to be plain old branched chain amino acids. And, I've learned a couple of tricks. If you tell people you're on a diet, or you tell people you're not drinking, no, I'm not drinking right now because I'm on a diet. You know what people do? They want to push you. And they want you to participate in whatever it is that they're participating in. And they don't want to feel bad or left out. And I realize that. But listen, this is my why. It's my journey, and it's not their journey. And so I made the fatal mistake. And it was really funny because I've tested this before. Usually, if I am in that situation where I'm at the pool and people are ordering drinks, or I'm at a party and everyone's drinking, or I'm at a bar and everyone's ordering, and then you say, they say, well, what are you drinking? And you say, I'm not drinking right now. I'm trying to lose weight, right? So then they're going to go like this. Well, you don't need to lose weight. You look great. Or, you know what? You can start that tomorrow. Or, why not? It's just a little won't hurt you. And they want to push, right? And then you're like, okay. And then it's almost like you're asking for them to give you permission to drink, right? It's like you're not saying that out loud, but you saying to them, I can't, makes them go, yes, you can. And then you're like, okay, I will. So then your willpower goes down, right? Because you're like, okay, everyone else says I'll do it too. I've learned a couple little tricks, and they really work in party settings, at bars, wherever you are. If someone says, okay, so what are you drinking, Lisa? I'm like, you know what? I don't really know what I'm in the mood for right now. I'm going to just get some Perrier right now, and I'm going to get back to that. If you say you're not in the mood, you're not, like maybe later, and I'll get something in a little while. If you're at a party and the hostess says, would you like to have a drink? And you say, you know what, I'm not really sure right now. I'll get you in a little while. Nobody remembers, and nobody pushes you, and no one says, well, if you say you're not in the mood, no one says, well, why aren't you in the mood? But if you say, I'm not drinking, they all want to say, why aren't you drinking? And so that's a really good trick. Well, anyways, I made the fatal mistake the whole weekend. I was pouring my branched chain amino acids, never came up. We went to dinner, and my friend said, I said, I'm not drinking. Oh, why aren't you drinking? Why don't you have a drink with me? And I'm like, there it is. This is what people want to do. And so your why has to be bigger than whatever it is that is in front of you. And if you can keep that written down in your face, in your heart, and understand that whatever it is you're choosing to do right now is temporary. You're not going to have to never drink. I know if I say to myself, not now, I didn't say never. I didn't say to myself, I can't. Because if you say to yourself, you can't, then you're also, it's like a kid. We're rebellious children. We want to do what, if you tell the little grandbabies, you tell little kids, don't do it. What do they want to do? They want to do it. So if you actually, just say to yourself, not now, maybe later, in a little while, next time, if you use that verbiage to your own brain, your heart doesn't feel this feeling of compelling to just cheat or to deviate off of what you're trying to do. And so it really is it's a self thing, right? Not now, because I know I'll have a glass of wine. I'm just not having one today. And I'm not sure when the next day is I'm going to have one, but I'm gonna. And so then it just kind of helps you get through those events when you really want to participate. But you have to go into the events with the attitude and the why in place, or you will fail. And if you go to a place where you don't have things like me having my branched chain amino acids all weekend and putting them in my Yeti, and I brought some Perrier and stuff with me having what I needed with me. And the same thing, I brought some dessert with me in case they all ordered dessert. I put a Rice Krispie treat in my purse just in case they ordered dessert. And then that way I wouldn't feel left out when they were eating dessert. Then I could just have my dessert and a cup of coffee while they were having whatever dessert they had. And so you also have to be prepared, and sometimes too, when I go to backyard parties and summer parties, and I've been on the protocol in the summer, and at parties and at weddings and at, graduations and whatever, I've made a habit of bringing a vegetable platter wherever I go. I just show up with one, whether they want it or not. I show up with a vegetable platter and I put it down. And it's really funny because actually the vegetable platter will get eaten. I find that sometimes there's other people at the party that are not brave enough per se to bring something. But a lot of these parties don't have what you need. And then they're like, wish there was something they could eat. And so when I show up, you can kind of see their eyes go, oh, thank God somebody brought something I can eat, because there's other people that are trying to eat healthy usually as well.
Yeah, that's true. I love all those tips. And I love the part where you say, not now, not today. But, I think when I talk to clients, I always say, because they'll say, well, I can't have something. And I'm like, no, you can have anything you want. It's just a personal choice, whether you do or you don't. So understanding that when, I love that you say we're spoiled children because, or rebellious children, if we tell ourselves, I can't, eventually we just do it. Mm-hmm. And having that mindset and also, Dr. Tran talks about how you have to have your heart and your mind in the same place. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that, Lisa, about that alignment of the heart and the mind.
Well, again, it gets back to the whole head and the heart thing. Absolutely, Dr. Tran's big at discussing that with us. And it's like this. Everyone has a reason. Whether it's a medical reason, sometimes that's it. Sometimes you medically need to get healthy and your doctor's putting the hammer down saying, okay, that's it. You got to move it. But when the emergency is over, and that's where the problem comes in. At first, when there's an emergency and you're like in trouble and your blood sugar's not right or your blood pressure is high and you have an emergency or you can't fit any of your pants, and that's an emergency for some people. But when you have an emergency, you might be willing to be a little stricter for a while, but then what starts to happen is as that emergency wears off, it's a lot easier to go, well, and so this is my little comment for this. I call these BLTs. Okay, so I'm like, are you doing some BLTs? And they're like, I'm not eating BLT. I'm like, oh, well, maybe you're doing bites, licks, tastes, and sips. So if you're doing a bite of this and a lick of that and a taste of that and a sip of that and a bite of that and a lick of that and a taste of that and a sip of that, you can BLT your way to nothing. And you're thinking, I was so good, I didn't do anything. But you don't realize you had a bite of this today and a sip of that tomorrow, and you're doing these BLTs all the week. Then you go for your weigh-in and you don't lose any dang weight, or you lose like a pound and you're like so upset. You're like, I don't understand. So I found out from somebody recently, one of my clients yesterday, cracked me up. I've been begging this client. I'm like, for 3 weeks in a row, no weight has come off her scale. And she was losing weight, doing great. And all of a sudden she stopped losing weight. And I'm like, you're doing something. It's something every day. It's so little. You're not even thinking of it. You're not writing it down. You're just not processing whatever it is you're doing. It's like, maybe it's coffee creamer. Maybe it's dressings, dips. I'm pounding this woman, trying to get her to think. She just still wasn't connecting the dots. All of a sudden, she realizes she had been buying these kale salads, that were healthy. And she kept saying to her husband, I'm eating salad every day. So she says this to me and I go, well, what about the dressing in that packet? She goes, oh yeah, I've been having that every day too. I'm like, ay. If you look at the dressing packet, you're going to see a lot of fat and a lot of sugar. And of course, those are never just one serving size in those packages. It's not one serving of dressing. It's probably worth 4 servings of dressing. And so at the end of the day, she is, basically stopped herself from losing weight. And I said to her, now I'm sure you're sitting there thinking, how in the world could a stupid dressing packet 4 times, 5 times in a week be enough of a problem for me? Because I can't live my life if I'm having to be that strict. People think that. Okay, here's the thing. If your body let the weight go and that's what you did, we wouldn't have this conversation. If for the last 3 weeks you were eating the dressing packet and you were doing everything you were supposed to do, and you lost your weight, we wouldn't have this conversation. But clearly, whatever it is you're doing on a daily basis is not letting your body lose the fat you already have. There is something that dressing packet has blocked you from doing. And so it didn't make you gain weight. It just didn't make you lose the fat you're trying to lose. Now, I told her, I said, when you get to Life Plan, and then that's the other thing she realized she did. Those little snap peas you can buy in a pack, those little snap peas that are like salty, crunchy things because they're crunchy. Yeah. So she was eating those too. And she's like, I said, well, first of all, snap peas aren't even on your list. So they're off anyway, but they're definitely not on when you're in a little package. But she's like, oh, okay. But the idea I'm saying is, as I said, but those are good snacks later. You know what I mean? Like down the road, a dressing packet with the kale salad, it's not going to affect you for maintenance. But right now we just have to move through it. So it's just understanding, you have to understand that when the emergency is over, maybe redefining your new goal, having new goals and sticking to it. But here's the thing. If you are done, you are done. Don't pretend that you want to keep going if you're done. If you're done, be done, but be done the right way. Transition off the protocol. Let the coaches and the clinics teach you how to maintain your new level of balance. And if you want to go down another layer down the road, you can always revisit coming back down the road. Don't keep torturing yourself and feeling like you're being so left out and being so punished. I think that's the problem with people. A lot of times when they're not participating, they feel like they're being punished in some way. And, ideal protein protocol is not a punishment. It's a reward. It's a reward for better health. It's a reward for better blood work. It's a reward for fitting in clothes you haven't fit in years. It's a reward for sleeping better and resting well and getting rid of cellulite. It's a reward for getting your body in a pH balance. It is not a punishment. You are not being punished because you didn't have a drink of sangria at a dang, graduation party. You're gonna survive, and you'll have it some other time. It's okay.
Yeah. And I love that. And also my next segue is exactly what you were talking about. So when clients get to that place where, like I noticed in my clinic that all of a sudden, half of my clients are either coming in and just grabbing food for 2 or 3 weeks, or some are, not showing up or what have you. How do who do you decide should transition into maintenance, and do they come back? What are your suggestions for if you just need to take the summer off?
Well, so it really does depend. If I have a client who's just going away for a long weekend, or they're going away for 5 or 6 or 7 days, I usually will transition to the alternate protocol, so they can have one little bit of fruit, one little bit of fat, one little bit of carb every day. It's still structured, because the thing with ideal protein is it's very structured. And so if you go from complete structure to willy-nilly, it's never a good idea. It never really works very well. So usually I say, okay, listen, do you still want to stay on some kind of an eating process that you can live with? Do you want to, have a little bit more options if you had a backyard barbecue on a vacation and they're serving some, fruit? Do you want to have a little bit of fruit so you can have that as an option? Do you want to put a piece of cheese on a burger without the bun, just so you have a little bit of texture and it's a little bit different? So I feel like the alternative protocol is a wonderful protocol to put people on when they're on vacation, if they in fact really want to continue on their weight loss journey, but they don't want to be quite as strict, or they need to have a little bit more flexibility, but they still need some parameters that they can deal with. And then, of course, traveling with ideal protein is super uber easy. I do it all the time. You can just plan for that. If you want to drop to a phase 2 alternative while you're on vacation, I do that a lot, so that they get a little bit more whole food protein and a little less ideal protein to travel with. If they have to watch, weight, or, how much food they're taking with them, they can drop to maybe 2 ideal proteins a day and then up their protein to 12 or 16 ounces, depending on if it's a man or a woman, and then add the fruit, the fat, and the carb. And that usually seems to work well. But if I have a client who's really just needing to be off for the summer, they're going to do a lot of traveling, they're going to be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, I'm like, listen, we know what those dates are. Let's go ahead and transition you off to phase 3 2 weeks before you leave. Let's get you on phase 3. Get you in the rhythm of life maintenance. Go ahead and do your thing. And when you come back from the summer, let's get back at it and finish what your journey is. So it just depends really on what we're dealing with. And it's just being honest, having the client tell you what's really going on with them and what their desires are and what their why is and why they need to maybe stick on it. And I think the alternative protocol offers a nice option for people who want to be still strict, but not quite as strict as the accelerated protocol.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're watching and you don't know what the alternative protocol is, talk to your coach and they'll explain how that works. If I have a client going on a vacation, I just had a gal who's just lost 90 pounds. She still has a bit more to go. And she went to the Bahamas, and we decided that she was going to, go into phase 2. So basically just giving her some more whole foods, one less ideal protein packet. and that was working for her. So I suggest that first, but I love, you're right, Lisa. It's all about being honest with each other and having that relationship with your coach. You hired us for a reason. You didn't hire us to, not tell us your truth. You hired us to be able to talk freely and trying to keep that communication going. We know what's going on just by what the scale and the measuring tape says, right?
The measuring tape never lies.
Yeah. So if you are on this call and you have any questions for Lisa, we're just going to be on about 5 or so more minutes because she has a room full of people that she's going to be talking to for her Lunch and Learn. And so if you have a question, please put it in the comments section. If you want some tips for summer success, all you have to do is type in the word summer and your Facebook Messenger will send you those tips. Okay, Lisa. What are your last few thoughts on summer and challenges and, words for success for people?
Well, I think the other thing that would be really good too is I always try to find ways, like I said, to stay on protocol. So a lot of times I'll get into looking for some great fun recipes. Like I remember I went to a big backyard barbecue when I was on protocol. And so I got online and I made a big, huge bucket of ceviche. I just made a ton of ceviche and it was nice and cold and it was an awesome dish. And I brought it and everybody loved it. And then I brought my Ideal Protein garlic crackers with me. And I brought obviously crackers for other folks or chips so that, people who want to have their chips, they had their chips. But I brought my chips with me and everyone loved the ceviche and it was a hit. And it's just kind of getting your mind wrapped around like, okay, I want to participate. I don't believe in not participating in life. You got to do the life. Life happens. Going to a wake tonight for a funeral. I'm not going to use that as an excuse to just say, oh, well, I'm going to this funeral and they're probably going to serve cake. And so I'm just going to eat some cake. No, not going to do it. It's you having strategies that you can deal with and think about everyone knows. I mean, if you have a long day at work, you got to bring extra food with you. If you're going to be on a road trip, bring extra stuff. I hate to sound like this, but, if you need to have 4 or 5 Ideal Proteins because you're going to be on a 12-hour road trip, then just have 4 or 5 Ideal Proteins. It's 1 or 2 days. It's not going to be, be the end of the world. It's way cheaper than stopping at the dang drive-through. By the time you go through a drive-through, you're going to spend the same $8 as 2 Ideal Protein products. So why not have the Ideal Protein? Then you don't have to stop. And even if you do stop, you have something you can keep with you. You can go into Wawa's now. If you keep your dressing with you, I bought these little rubber, I was going to bring it out of my purse, but I got these little, those little travel containers, the little things you can put your shampoos in. I made enough, dressing for 3 days of me being at the Marriott because I knew I was going to have, a salad every day. And as long as you, have your dressing, you really can't get in trouble with a salad if you know what to put off it and what to put on it. My rule is if you take something off, you put something else on. So if I say no cheese, no croutons, I say add extra onions, add extra cucumbers for the same money, right? So it's just understanding if you're going to stop at a drive-through, if you're going to, stop at gas station, go ahead and bring your cappuccino with you if you're on a road trip and get a coffee and make an iced coffee cappuccino while you're driving down the road. Now you just got 20 grams of protein. You had a little coffee. You're on the road trip. You feel like you had something sweet. There's many, many ways to think outside of the box, but you have to, if you don't have ideas, you should ask your coach, hey, and if you can't do that, then you can go online. There's so many Ideal Protein clinics in the country now. When I started, there was nobody. So we have so much more information and data now available for people to find, hey, what did you do when you were on an airplane and you got stuck in an airport? Hey, what did you do when you were on a road trip that went wrong? It got stuck on the side of the road for 3 hours because your tire got flat. Always carry Ideal Proteins with you. Women especially can put it in their purses. Men can put it in their briefcases. You can stick one in your car. I usually keep a bag of chips in my car because chips don't melt. And then too, like if you go to a Mexican restaurant, you can order, everyone likes the chips and salsa. I love chips and salsa. So I always have a bag of chips in my car just in case we stop at a Mexican restaurant. I'm like, I'll bring my chips in and I can put my chips in the salsa. And then I can just have some meat on some lettuce and, skip the other stuff. So there's always ways. If you want it, you can, I always say, if you want to, you can. And it's just
Yeah.
what your heart and your head are telling you. And again, if you're just ready to move on and be, I hate it when people say, I want to be normal. What is normal? Normal is feeling good, looking great, having energy, sleeping great, fitting in your clothes. To me, that's normal. If you don't feel well and you're not, willing to sacrifice, it's okay. We understand that. We're not your judge and jury. We're just here to hold your hand and help you through it. But let us teach you. Let us teach you how to live off the diet while you're on the diet. Because our goal is not to keep people on protocol phase 1. Our goal is to get people to lifestyle management and help them live their life in a healthier new way. So that's my last words today.
I love it. Oh, Lisa, thank you so much. Just words of wisdom and strong words. And as one of my clients said to me today, thank you so much for helping me on my journey, and thank you sometimes for the tough love. And
Yep.
it's all about, we really care about what we do. We really love what we do, and you can see just by listening to Lisa how passionate she is about what she does, and I feel the same way. And so everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you want some tips for summer, just type the word summer and we will send them to you. And Lisa, thanks so much. I will talk with you soon. Thank you for taking the time, and thanks to your group. I hope you guys all have a great lunch and learn.
Thank you. See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.